Should the Pittsburgh Steelers emulate the San Francisco 49ers offense and take a running back by committee approach? Hello, Steeler Nation, and welcome to your latest episode of your Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate with me, your host, Britsburgh Owen. Video going out earlier today because we have a live podcast later with myself and Mr. Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison, but not just us two. No, it will also be Noah Strackbine of Sports Illustrated as well, and all Steelers talk. So check that out later as we will be talking about the Colts game and looking forward to the game against the Dirty Birds, those Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. Well, guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers have really developed their running game over the last few weeks. At the start of the season, the Steelers' running game was averaging between 85 and 87 yards per game. It is now averaging over 100 yards per game. Obviously, with the zenith of that coming as a 217 yards rushed for against the Saints, over 180 yards rushed for against the Colts. It really is a running game coming into its own. And what made it even more impressive on Monday night was the fact that even after Najee Harris left the game with his abdominal injury, the running game continued to succeed, even to that point when Kenny Pickett went to the sideline and called that audible, where he said this play will work with Benny Snell because the line know what to do. The line pushed obviously to the right, opening it for Snell, who then gave a Le'Veon Bell style slide to the left and into the end zone untouched for a touchdown. So this approach, this running game is really starting to take off. And obviously credit to Pat Meyer for the work he's done with the offensive line in turning them into an effective run blocking unit. Obviously the pass protection has suffered a little bit, but hey guys, you can't have everything. I know we want to, but at this moment in time, let's take, small mercies where we can get them. And the Steelers now have an interesting cabal of running backs. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, Benny Snell, obviously been the first three running backs on that roster, obviously supplemented by Derek Watt at fullback. But obviously Ant McFarlane as well, who was quite impressive on Sunday. If we look back at the stats from Sunday, Benny Snell, 12 carries, 62 yards, averaging over 5 yards per carry, and that one touchdown, pretty impressive. Najee Harris, 10 carries, 35 yards, 3.5 yards a carry, one touchdown before he left the game injured. Obviously, we know that Kenny Pickett has legs and can run. Has decent mobility, 6 rushes for 32, 5.3. And Mack as well, pretty impressive on his return to the team with 6 carries for 30 yards, 5 yards per average. Now, we talk about the whole idea of running back by committee. Now, the San Francisco 49ers, who have been very successful under Kyle Shanahan, reaching a Super Bowl, reaching an NFC Championship game, have very much used that running back by committee approach to this point. Before obviously they traded for Christian McCaffrey. They have very much used the likes of Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, and a number of others. I don't know all the 49ers running backs, but they've used a number of running backs, Jarrett McKinnon, to approach it by a committee approach. Now, could this be an effective approach for the Steelers? Now, a lot of people have said that the Steelers should look at the way the 49ers run their offense. They have a game manager style quarterback. They have an outstanding tight end. We have an outstanding tight end for George Kittle, read Pat Freiermuth. They have an outstanding wide receiver in Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. We have obviously George Pickens. They have their running back by committee approach. We have obviously Harris, we have Snell, and we have Warren and Harris, who've been particularly impressive this season. If we look at the stats that Warren and Harris have ranked up this season, Najee Harris, 158 carries for 585 yards, averaging 3.7 yards per carry for touchdowns. Kenny Pickett obviously is up there as well in terms of his rushing, 35 attempts for over 195 yards, averaging 5.6 yards per carry. 23 yards long, obviously, and 3 touchdowns. Jalen Warren has had 38 attempts for over 190 yards, averaging 5 yards a carry, long of 21, and has yet to record a touchdown. Benny Snell, 11 games played, 12 attempts at rushing, 62 yards, 5.2 yards per carry, which is pretty impressive. 1 touchdown as well. And then obviously you can see a list of others who've attempted rushing, including some of the wide receivers. And, that's something else the 49ers do. They use Deebo Samuel, don't they, as a wide back rather than as just a pure wide receiver. Now, it could be that the Steelers, obviously going into the game on Sunday, where there is a strong possibility that Najee Harris will be missing that game due to an abdominal injury, that they could actually take this running back by committee approach. There's a likelihood, obviously, that Jalen Warren will be listed as running back 1 if he returns and if Harris is out. Snell as 2, McFarland as 3. Now, what I would like them to see is them to really mix it up, really use those 3 different running backs, the 3 different running backs who have very different skill sets. You know, Jalen Warren is your bowling ball, your power back. Benny Snell is your one-cut runner, and Ant McFarlane is your speed back. And you have a real opportunity there to use that approach to run the ball by committee, to use different approaches and to vary the running plays. This will help, obviously, to continue to develop the running game, which is clearly getting better, with a line that is getting better at run blocking. After all, you know, ask Ramon Foster. He said on his show, you know, linemen love run blocking. That's what they love best, because they get to shove and push people everywhere. Now, that running back by committee approach also will keep the defense on its toes. You know, you've got Warren comes in, he runs as a power back straight up the middle or straight at you and runs over you. You've then got Snell, who runs one cut out and looks for a space to get through. And then you've got McFarlane, who comes in and uses his speed to get away from you. So you've got a very different approach. Again, it keeps them on their toes. It keeps them unbalanced. It keeps them unsettled. This could be a really good approach for the Steelers to use on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons aren't the best team in the world, do not have the best defense in the world. And again, it's just another way of keeping this offense moving forward. You've also got the opportunity as well to use the likes of Stephen Sims, Gunnar Olszewski, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson on end arounds, on jet sweeps, on things like that, again, to keep this rushing game wide, varied, and to move the ball. And we all know the advantages the running game has. It chews clock. It means for longer drives. It means for more successful drives. It keeps the defense on the sidelines, which means the defense gets a rest. It then comes out of being even more effective and gives, you know, Haywood, Watt, Highsmith, Jack, Bush, Ogunjobi a chance to rest and then come back and go at it again. Now, I think this is a really good approach. I think they should really look towards Kyle Shanahan's system. Kyle Shanahan is an offensive mastermind. He is a very good head coach, someone I would love in the future to see take over the Steelers if that's a possibility. But that running back by committee approach could really be effective for our Pittsburgh Steelers. Anyway, Steeler Nation, let me know what you think in the comments of the possibility of a running back by committee approach. And what do you think of the Steelers running game this year and how it's developed and how it's moved forward? You know, who has been the standout running back for you this year? Who has really impressed you? Let me know in the comments below. And if you remember, you've just found the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate, hit that sub, ring that notification bell, and give this video a like. Thank you for watching the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. I've been your host, Britsburgh Owen. It's been great speaking to you. Here we go, Steelers. Come on.